opening ceremonies for the NASCAR Hall of Fame wrapped up just more than an hour ago. The ceremony included honoring past NASCAR Cup champions. Among those recognized, former driver Dale Jarrett. He's with our Davey Sutton live at the Hall of Fame. Hi there, Davey.
Yes, Colleen, Dale and I are soaking it up, right?
That's exactly right.
And tell me your reactions. The NASCAR Hall of Fame is finally alive and running.
Yeah, I'm excited for all the race fans, first and foremost, but just blown away with what has been put together here. This is kind of like NASCAR's 60-year existence. It's been even more grand and more spectacular than what any of us could ever imagine.
But speak a little bit about how cool it is for the non-race fans.
I think that's what's so great, and in the perfect place right here in Charlotte, because we have obviously the Bobcats and the Panthers, and then ACC football and basketball. All of these fans are going to be able to come here and see NASCAR and really get the history of it, and probably in a 2-hour time period feel like they know a lot about NASCAR and what happened over 60 years ago to get this started.
Earlier in the ceremonies, you were honored with the other Cup champions. What was that moment like for you?
Very, very special. You know, I've been very fortunate. This sport has been good to myself and my family for a lot of years, but to be up on that stage with the other champions there was a very proud moment for myself. My dad was up there, and something that we'll always have.
And you know, I can't let you go without, you're the ultimate businessman. Can you let us in on what you have cooking up next?
Well, I've got a lot of things going on. Obviously, my commitments to ESPN and staying a part of this sport keeps me pretty busy. This is kind of my off time right now, but we take over the Cup Series in July, and so I stay pretty busy then. But once I leave here today, after we get finished with all the fans and everything, I have to go down to the car dealership. We just opened the Kia dealership right beside Dale Jarrett Ford, so we've got a lot going on there, and if you're in need of a car, we've got one for you.
I told you, the ultimate businessman. Thanks so much for your time. We'll send it back to you, Colleen.
Okay, Davey, I'll take it. Thank you so much. So 5 racing legends make up the first class of inductees into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and our Davey Sutton is live in Uptown with one of the men who's honored.
Yes, Colleen, I'm in the presence of racing royalty and now Hall of Famer. What a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal to me, and hopefully it's a big deal to the fans and stuff. You know, it's unreal, this place. It took them 60 years to get their NASCAR to get their own Hall of Fame, but they've done a heck of a job doing it.
You are so cool. That grand entrance this morning, you still got it. Whose big idea was that?
Well, I guess Winston Kelly, the one that kind of looks after things over here at the museum. And, you know, he'd want to know if we had a car that would run, and talk to Junior and get the car. And just something a little bit different. You know, I don't know if you football fan or baseball fan going in the Hall of Fame, I don't know if he could come in and run 100 yards with a football to get in the Hall of Fame. We came in a race car, and that made it really, really neat.
Richard Petty, now that this day is here, how does it feel? What does it feel like?
Feels like history, I guess. You know, I told him I walked through the museum and stuff, and figure I was here when they ran the very first race. So I guess museums is about history, so when I walk through there, I guess I'm more history than most people.
In October, when it was announced you got in, who made that call?
Who made the call?
Well, how did you find out?
Well, really, what they did, they had 25 guys and to vote on, and they had a big deal over here, and I was somewhere anyhow. I got here late. Okay, they done voted on the thing. When I walked in, I said, you know, who made it and who didn't, and they told me, and that I just said, ooh, okay, you know. But the big deal was that fans got to vote on it, and then you had a lot of people that knew a lot about the racing and about the history and stuff, and just makes you feel good that the thousands of people that made NASCAR what it is, that a lot of people appreciated what we done.
Now, I want to get your thoughts on the Hall of Fame itself. I saw you taking your tour. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think it's great. Okay, naturally I'm a little prejudiced, but anyhow, but if you're a now fan, you go through the first floor and the second floor. That's what you see. If you're an old fan or want to know about where NASCAR came from, you go to the third floor. That's where all the history and stuff is. And you know, I walked through the history part of it, and I can remember. It jars my memory about different things. So it's a good way for the old fans to come and enjoy that, but new fans come and find out why NASCAR is what it is today.
Richard Petty, it's such an honor, and thank you for joining our show today. We'll send it back to you, Colleen.
WCNC TV, Charlotte. This is Carolina's News Channel 36.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With that, the wait's over. NASCAR's Hall of Fame is open for business in Uptown Charlotte.
Fans are inside, big-name stars are on hand, and we are live with team coverage of the big celebration. Thanks for joining us at midday. I'm Anjanette Flowers.
And I'm Jeff Campbell again. Thanks so much for joining us. This really is a sight to see. After 5 years of planning and construction, today, the hall's open for business.
Sure is. Thousands are on hand for opening day, and we do have team coverage. We start with anchor Bobby Sisk. He is leading our coverage this midday from just outside the hall. Bobby, what an exciting day for a lot of people.
It really is an exciting day, Angie and Jeff. And look who I have with me here. How about we start off our newscast here today, the Hall of Fame grand opening, with Richard Petty, the legendary driver, and one of the first 5 people to be inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. First of all, you went in, you got your own tour. What'd you think of this place?
I thought it was great. I mean, been 60 years. NASCAR is 60 years old. They finally got their own home. And, to be part of that just makes it that much more exciting for me. But they've done their homework. They really went out. They checked all the different museums and stuff, and I think they come out with not a perfect place, but about as good as you're going to be.
At this point in your career, what do the fans mean to you? Because you guys can't see right now, just off camera, we've got a whole group of people who've been following him around here this morning. They wanted his autographs, wanted to get pictures of him. You've got a really strong fan base. What do these people mean to you?
Well, they mean that I'm Richard Petty, okay, from the standpoint that there wouldn't be a Richard Petty without the fans, because they wouldn't have bought any tickets. I wouldn't have been able to play around for 30 years with a race car. So the fans is what it's all about. We think we got a business, but our business is nothing without the fans. So when we come to something like this, the fans, I think, can come and see and appreciate what history is and what the guys are doing today.
Okay, Richard Petty, thank you so much for joining us. By the way, he told me I could call him Richard. He said Mr. Petty was his dad, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. I think your car is waiting for you. I appreciate you joining me there.
Right,
okay, nice meeting you, sir. We want to take a look at some video that we got earlier as this ceremony was happening. The big reveal, the curtain dropped in front of the Great Hall. This is where you enter. It's home to Glory Road, a display of 18 cars telling the history of racing. The highlight of the morning, no doubt, involved the man you just heard from, Richard Petty, driving in along with Junior Johnson, their engines revving from Brevard Street into the ceremonial plaza. The crowd went wild for that. Both men are part of the inaugural inductees into the Hall of Fame, a place that team owner Rick Hendrick is very proud of. He served as chair of the effort to get this hall built in Charlotte.
When you walk in it and see it, you'll be so proud. And for people all over the country that come to Charlotte that just have heard about our sport but don't know our sport, a walk through memory lane is going to be something they'll never forget.
Just to see NASCAR grow to what it is today, and to see them finally have a Hall of Fame, and then to be inducted into it on top of that. Of all the thousands and thousands of people it took to get NASCAR where it is today, we just went along for the ride.
It still ain't soaked in. It's when you got that kind of company in a process of doing a Hall of Fame thing, you just cannot explain it. It's just the greatest thing ever happened to me. Thank you.
We were talking to Bobby Sisk earlier, he and Jared there. We know Bobby got a chance to sit right next to the king himself. Let's check back in with Bobby and Jared. Jared, I think you were one of the first ones to actually go inside of the hall there.
Yeah, that's right, Angie. I'm joined by our sports reporter, Jared Latch. I had Richard Petty here earlier. I have to say that he might have been a little bit more important. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he probably was by a little bit, and I know standing over there, I knew this is going to be a tough act to follow. How did I get behind Richard Petty here on the set today?
I don't know. I'm sorry for doing that to you. But no, Jared was one of the first people inside the Hall of Fame when the doors opened. There was a huge crowd waiting to go inside. First of all, what was the atmosphere? I've seen inside, and I was impressed as soon as I walked in.
Well, it was pretty amazing. Even outside, as the drones of people started to the door, I was in that line, and then just getting in, it was like the anticipation had worn off, and it turned into excitement. A lot of people wandering around looking at the different exhibits. You know, there's a lot of toys inside, you know, if you're a car fan or not. There's a lot of movies and simulators and things like that. So really for everybody, there is something inside.
One of the toys I enjoyed when I was there last week, and again today I hope to enjoy it, is the simulator. And one of the guys, Winston Kelly, who's the executive director of the hall, told me this is as real as it gets.
Oh, it is. It's pretty impressive. Like I mentioned before, if you're a fan or not, and you're just a fan of sport in general, this is a great platform to come to and experience everything here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And I know that as I got ready to go in the doors, I had that excitement, and even walking around, I had a smile on my face. And I did have a chance to talk to a couple of people, and here's what one of them had to say about their experience here today.
How
cool is just some of the things you've seen so far?
Well, it's really cool because you see a lot of stuff that maybe isn't explained on TV or you haven't heard of anywhere else. You can come here and really get to touch and feel a lot of the stuff that you just see on TV.
Some excited fans there, and one of the interesting things, Jared, that I found is that they're trying to do some crowd control here. They've sold tickets in hour increments. So the first people were able to come in at 10 a.m., the second one's at 11 a.m. I'm going to bet that some of the 10 a.m. people are going to be in there pretty much all day. What do you think?
Oh, I think they will. Maybe for the next couple days. You never know. They might try to sleep over, but I'm just happy I was part of that first wave of people when at 10 o'clock because it was very exciting for me, and I know for them this is just a truly historic day for them as fans and also for the city.
Okay, Jared Latch, News Channel 36 Sports. Thank you so much for that. We'll have more coverage from Jared throughout the day. Right now, we'll send it back to you, Jeff and Angie.
Very good, Bobby. Thanks for that. Yeah, I heard that. I heard they were going to try to get people to go in 1 hour increments.
Right.
I thought, no way in the world is that going to work. So they got those 10 o'clock people in there, maybe a few of them out by this point, but not really.
You've been inside, and you said it's a pretty big facility, right? So to go in there maybe an hour?
It's a big facility. I'm sure that you could spend all day in there. You could probably spend an hour just in that very first little spot where you've got all the cars stacked up. So obviously a lot of work to do there today. Live look now outside the facility, NASCAR's Hall of Fame in uptown Charlotte, and you can see in the right-hand side of your screen, that's where a lot of those fans are gathering outside waiting for their turn to go inside. Going to keep our team coverage rolling. We've got the fans outside and now some fans going inside as well.
That's right. And that's where we find our Beth Shane. She is inside with some of the fans. Beth, what's going on there?
Well, I'll tell you, they are coming in hour increments. We're seeing the noon wave come through right now. I've talked to people here today from Michigan, from Florida, from Canada. All of them in the entryway here. We really haven't left what they call Glory Road. I'm going to step out of the way just a little bit so you can see what's behind us there. All of these famous cars lined up, banked on the track here. This is really where most of the folks are starting their NASCAR Hall of Fame experience. Taking a look, there's actually pieces of each of the tracks up there as well. And we've seen a lot of celebrities come by as well. What you're looking at right now is a car from 1989 driven by Rusty Wallace in a really controversial finish with Darrell Waltrip. Both of them are here today, and Rusty Wallace was actually just here. He stepped right over the barriers here on the exhibit, looked at the car, signed a lot of autographs with fans. A lot of folks we've met, some of the NASCAR fanatics, tell us that's really why they're here. They wanted to see who'd come, see who might sign their t-shirts, sign their posters. A lot of these folks really collect a lot of the memorabilia, and so this is a really great experience to try to catch a couple of autographs today. We, like I said, haven't gotten past the entryway, so we're going to have to go inside, talk to some more fans up there. We'll, of course, have more for you 4, 5, and 6 o'clock this afternoon. But for now, I'm live with our mobile newsroom from inside the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Beth Shane, News Channel 36.
From inside. Hints that it's going to take more than an hour to get through. She's still right there at the entrance. Going to take some time. We'll keep our team coverage rolling now. We've seen some of those fans inside. Let's talk about some of those fans who are outside. Many of them probably still waiting in line trying to get in.
Oh, yeah. News Channel 36 reporter Amy Cowman. She spent the morning with the fans coming from near and far to see today's festivities. Amy's live right now from the Hall of Fame with that part of the story. Good. Hi there, Amy.
Hey there, Jeanette. That's right. If there's one thing I learned is that there is no distance too far for NASCAR diehard NASCAR fans, because we saw them all morning this morning as early as 4, 5 a.m. They came from all across the country, say they're going to pull an all-nighter to be here, but they say it's worth it to be part of NASCAR history.
Can't wait to see the legends and see what Charlotte has to offer.
NASCAR fans came from across the country and woke up early to make it to the Hall of Fame grand opening.
But Charlotte's the home of NASCAR, and it's where it should be.
Jack Corbin road tripped it from Texas with the whole family.
I think it's huge, very special to be able to see finally a Hall of Fame for NASCAR and to see Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt go in.
Mike Morris came from Oklahoma City, where he just got word a tornado destroyed his roof. Even that isn't stopping him from being the first in line.
You know, it just kind of worked that way. We got up, we decided we wanted to get here at 7:30, and we got here and ended up being the first ones in line.
Fans took pictures and saved their seats leading up to the ceremony in hopes of catching a glimpse at some of their favorite drivers.
When I called Friday, she told us we had the 10 o'clock people get seats, so we just came early to make sure we had ours.
Judy Fraley works with the Richard Petty Museum. Her husband has worked with Petty for 30 years. She says they've worked hard to bring some of his treasured items to the museum.
We bought Richard's 7-time championship rings. We brought some trophies.
Fraley says his car is coming in today, and one of his fathers is already here. She can't wait for the ceremony and then their first glance at the exhibits.
We really haven't had a chance to get in here, but I'm sure we'll be excited to get in and see where everything is.
And all the fans say that they're excited, of course, not to only be inside and check out the Hall of Fame and everything, but to also hang out outside here, hear the bands that are going to be playing, and then to check out Charlotte and enjoy their time here, make the most of it. Hey, good for Charlotte for sure. Live at the NASCAR Hall of Fame with our mobile newsroom, Amy Kalman, News Channel 36.
And we were talking to Bobby Sisk just a few minutes ago when he had Richard Petty. Want to check back in with Bobby now and see if you got a better signal there, Bobby. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Angie. Yeah, there's a lot of, one thing to mention, there's a ton of media in town covering this event. We've got satellite signals and microwave signals going all over uptown here today, so some technical difficulties, but we're glad you stayed with us here. You hear Lee Bryce in the background. The concerts have started. There's entertainment here all evening for fans because they really wanted this part, the ceremonial plaza and the opening ceremonies, to be free, and even those who maybe couldn't afford tickets to get inside to be able to come out here and enjoy part of the NASCAR Hall of Fame experience. Let's take a look at some video from the opening ceremonies we have from earlier. On stage this morning, everyone from team owner Rick Hendrick to former Charlotte Mayor Pat McCrory and current Mayor Anthony Fox. Along with several racing legends, including Richard Petty and Junior Johnson, the crowd watched as the curtain dropped, revealing the hall's great hall. The place is designed like a track with one of the main attractions, Glory Road, taking you through the history of NASCAR and the tracks. Governor Bev Perdue was in town from Raleigh. She reminded everyone here that 90% of NASCAR teams are in North Carolina, so the Hall of Fame had to be here in Charlotte.
More than 60 years ago, it's how it started. And today, this thing that began as a way to get away from the law is the world's, the state's, the country's #1 spectator sport. Millions of viewers and millions and millions and millions of fans globally love NASCAR.
Let this day begin not only the commemoration of the rich history of NASCAR, but also to commemorate its future. The generations ago, it stood on that track right here in Charlotte, North Carolina to witness the first strictly racing stock car race in 1949. Didn't know that we would be standing here today.
I'm proud to pay to get in the front door of this wonderful, wonderful building to represent our past, our present, and our future. So as a former mayor, Tim Newman, I'm proud to pay for the first ticket to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
You heard former Mayor Pat McCrory, who was instrumental in getting the NASCAR Hall of Fame here, saying that now that he's not in office, he has to pay for tickets to get into places like this. I caught up with him when he made his way out. He's very proud of what happened here, and he's really proud to see the fans enjoying this place. Speaking of fans and paying for tickets, I arrived here about 7 a.m. this morning. There were already people here. The reason they got here so early, I understand from our crew that was here for our AM newscast, people got here around 5 a.m. They wanted to be on the very front row as the opening ceremonies began, so they certainly got their front row seat. And best of all, it was free of charge.
And let's talk more about the Hall of Fame's grand opening today. We've seen it. Case in point, Richard Petty at the top of the hour. A lot of those sports legends there at the NASCAR Hall of Fame today. Ira Cronin has been gathering some of the sound from a number of those NASCAR drivers and other legends in the sports.
That's right. Ira Cronin and Bobby Sisk both live right now at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Looking good, guys.
Well, thank you, Angie. We're out here jamming. Lee Bryce on the stage here behind us. Ira had a good assignment here today. After the opening ceremonies, originally they were going to have a bullpen for the media to go talk to all the drivers who were here outside. It was raining at that point, so you guys went inside.
Luckily, they moved us inside, but they still brought us all the big shots today. So we got to visit a little bit with Richard Petty, Junior Johnson, two of the living inductees.
Oh, yeah.
And then several other the drivers that were here for the ceremonies. Current driver Greg Biffle, a couple former drivers, Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. Their time not quite here yet for the Hall of Fame, but we talked to all those guys, and particularly Junior Johnson and Richard Petty and Brian France, the president of NASCAR, about really what today meant for them, and here's what they had to say.
If you're a NASCAR fan or even a football fan or baseball fan, you want to know, where your sport came from. And I think they've done a good job in explaining, where it started. It started across town here in Charlotte, and it's went and grown to what it is today. So, I'm impressed with it, and it takes a lot to impress me.
It's the greatest thing the sports ever had to happen to it. There's no question about it. Ain't nothing happened to this sport no bigger than this.
It's the nicest Hall of Fame in the world. There's just no question about it. That it's the most interactive. It's the biggest, newest, and all those things. But most importantly, the community is behind it.
Yeah, you hear those drivers there obviously talking about how great the NASCAR Hall of Fame is. One thing that Ira was telling me that he picked up on is how emotionally attached these drivers were, and especially when they think about the past.
Yeah, I think for these guys coming here and seeing all this stuff really strikes an emotion, and they talk about, you can kind of see it in their eyes as they start talking about great memories they've had on the track or artifacts that they know that are in the Hall of Fame that fans are going to see. It not only means something to the fans, but it means something to the drivers. Greg Biffle talked at length about a bunch of stuff that he's glad that he saved it through the years. If he's asked to, donate things that he's has, he said, "Wow, I kept all that stuff for a reason," So it was good.
I tell you, it'd be interesting for fans if they're in here, they bought a ticket, they go in, look around, and then they see Greg Biffle walking by to check things out. I mean, some of these guys may stop by here. Richard Petty's like, I may just stop by here and check this place out.
Oh, there's no question. Greg talked about in the offseason, when he has friends and family come in, they always want to do something.
Sure.
He says, now I've got a place to take them, and I'll for sure be spending a lot of time down here. So, I think if you come down and buy a ticket, you never know who you might see. It might be a current driver here.
Okay, you might meet Ira Cronin as well.
You might, or Bobby Sisk.
Hey, maybe so. The NASCAR Hall of Fame open from 10 to 8 today. We'll send it back to you guys.
When you walk in it and see it, you'll be so proud.
Of all the thousands and thousands of people it took to get NASCAR where it is today, we just went along for the ride.
It's just the greatest thing ever happened to me.
Now at 4, a grand opening in Uptown Charlotte. Thanks for joining us here for the special edition of News Channel 36 at 4. I'm Bobby Sisk, and I'm joined now by Dave Wagner and Sonia Gant. They are live at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Good afternoon there.
Hey, Bobby, over the next 2.5 hours or so, we're going to bring you all the sights and sounds of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It is an amazing place. The racing legends of yesterday and the stars of today.
We're going to also give you a chance to hear from some of the fans, and I know Dave and I met a few walking around. We met a couple from Ohio. I met a woman from Atlanta. People are here from all over the country for this. We're also going to give you a chance to see some of the memorabilia that's inside that really makes this NASCAR Hall of Fame so exceptional.
Yeah, it was started out a little rainy out here, Bobby. As you well know, you were out here earlier today, but it's turned into a beautiful day as I look outside. Thousands of fans are flocking to this place today.
The sun has certainly come out, and not just the fans are here, but it's kind of like a who's who of stock car racing. Yeah. I was walking over to the entrance a little bit earlier, saw Donnie Allison signing autographs, and it was amazing. People knew who he was as soon as he came in the door.
People here know they're racing.
Yes,
there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yes, they do. Of course, there are quite a few race car drivers who have taken the main stage at 4:15. Randy LaJoie, who has won a couple of nationwide titles, will be out there doing a Q&A, so it's a great thing for the fans. Our Beth Shane is out there on the plaza. She's been with the fans for much of the day. Beth?
Well, Sonia, you name them, they were here. NASCAR has really said all along that this is supposed to be a place where fans can rub shoulders with legends, and certainly today was a chance to do that, beginning with a huge opening ceremony this morning. The biggest entrance of the day was something less than subtle.
Junior Johnson, and NASCAR's all-time race winner with a staggering 200 victories, the King, Richard Petty.
The two living drivers will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, roaring onto the plaza as part of a star-studded opening ceremony.
It still ain't so thin.
I can tell you this Hall of Fame is second to none. And the city of Charlotte really stood up when it counted.
It was a thank you of sorts to all the people who made this idea a tourist destination.
As a former mayor, Tim Newman, I'm proud to pay for the first ticket to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
And a kickoff for the people this place is really for.
There's lots to see and do, and actually things to touch and change tires.
Inside there are things to do for people of any age, movies to watch, memorabilia to learn about. The benefit of visiting on this opening day is that the exhibits aren't the only thing that's interactive.
These are signatures from people that I've got today.
The legends of the sport were not just here for opening ceremonies. Like the hall that honors them, they were here for the fans.
Got some signatures, got some swag. I'm all set.
And you know, one of the things I like most about NASCAR fans, they are not just here for the drivers. We saw crew chiefs, executives, even reporters today signing autographs for some of these fanatics, not just fans. I'm live out on the plaza. Dave, back to you.
And one more really cool thing out here for fans, it's a high-octane theater where you can really get the feel of the race. A screen that goes all the way around. That's on the first level here. It seats about 275 people. Really neat place.
Part of a great experience. For my money, Sonia, really the NASCAR Hall of Fame has pulled off the impossible. This feels like hallowed ground, but at the same time, everything is so accessible. You can reach out and touch it. You can certainly feel it. The Hall of Fame inductee, Richard Petty, the man they call the King, he leads the parade of current and former drivers who tell us today that they're almost overwhelmed by being part of something done so well for a sport that they love so much.
I want to know, where your sport came from, and I think they've done a good job in explaining, where it started. It started across town here in Charlotte, and it's went and grown to what.
Yeah, obviously a little technical snafu there, but Richard Petty talking about just how well done this is, how proud he is to be part of NASCAR. That's a theme that we hear over and over today. They did a great job, and it really brings up these emotions that these drivers have as they look back on their careers and their involvement in the sport that they helped to build.
One of the things I loved about it as I was walking around, it's extremely interactive. So if you want to bring your children down, and they have something for everybody, those who have long attention spans and those who have very short
like me with the short ones. Yeah.
Lots of touch screens, and you can just get a little bit of NASCAR history in about a minute and 30 seconds.
Yep.
Another great area upstairs, and I got to tell all the moms about this.
Right.
There is a kids zone where the kids can build their own little engine.
Right.
Very cute. They have it where you can pretend as if you're on the pit crew, and you can actually, try to hit the. What are those things called?
The lug nuts off the tires.
Yeah, the lug nuts. That's it right there.
Yep.
But very, very interactive and just really beautifully done. So there's something for, I saw a real engine and all the components, and you could touch the screen and learn exactly what a chassis does. I know a little more now about an engine than I ever thought I would know in just my little bit of time here this afternoon.
You know that it runs, and obviously the cars that you see, I looked up at David Pearson's car, the 21, which is such an iconic part of NASCAR history. Richard Petty's career, Lee Petty's career, obviously highlighted as well, and stuff from the current drivers, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, some of the stuff from early in their careers. Jimmy's, the stuff that he used back in his motorcycle career, really kind of remarkable stuff. It's fantastic.
It really is. Well, let's tell you a little bit about where we're stationed right now. We're at the very beginning. It's called Glory Road, and it truly is a road of glory here. It features 18 historic cars and highlights 40 different racetracks. Included is number 43, Richard Petty's Plymouth Belvedere. He won more wins in this car than any other car in NASCAR history, including, get this, 27 victories in 1967.
We should point out that inductions into the Hall of Fame here, Sonia, not taking place for another 12 days or so. May 23rd, their tribute upstairs in the Hall of Honor. It is beautiful. It's a serene environment up there. That's where they'll be enshrined. Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., Junior Johnson, Richard Petty, and Dale Earnhardt. Right now, black cloths cover their exhibits. The groundbreaking on this building, January 25th, 2007, a little more than 3 years ago. It features more than 40,000 square feet of exhibits and artifacts. The complex cost $195 million. Here's an interesting fact here. The exterior ribbon that you see outside the hall, just about 1,800 feet. That's the same length as the backstretch at Atlanta Motor Speedway. There's just so much to see here. Earlier, Sonia was up on one of the bank tracks here. It's pretty steep, isn't it, Sonia?
It's extremely steep. Now, when you look at it, and you'll see it when you come down here, it probably isn't more than 2 feet. They allow you to kind of walk up the bank that the drivers drive on. So I walked up. I have on very low heels, and I fell in front of probably about 10 or 15 people. They were all very kind.
Even with sensible shoes, it's tough, isn't it?
Even with sensible shoes, it's extremely difficult. But it gives you a great idea of what it means when they're talking about rounding those corners and exactly how steep those corners are.
It's frightening to walk on it. Imagine driving on that track.
It's hard to believe. You know what? There's so much more here, more than we could ever tell you about. But we have created a special section of our website that will give you a taste of it before you come down. You can find profiles of the 5 inductees, pictures, slides, slideshows, information about the hall and exhibits. All of that you'll find on WCNC.com.
And we're going to get to some other news of the day coming up right after the break.
We certainly will. And later, paying tribute to NASCAR's founding father.
He knew what the fans wanted. He knew what those race fans wanted. He knew the kind of show they wanted. And that's what formed the basis of the sport that we have today. And we couldn't have done it without Bill France Sr.
That and much more when our coverage of the opening of the NASCAR Hall of Fame continues. And we are back now with much more coverage from the opening of the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
It was very clear that Charlotte really was the natural, the best, and ultimately the right place for the Hall of Fame.
Well, that was Brian France this morning, NASCAR's CEO, and so many big names in NASCAR that were here this morning and that also the Hall really will honor a little bit later on. Perhaps the man who really made all of this possible was Bill France Sr., Brian's father and the founding father of NASCAR.
Yeah, and he is among the first who will be inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
He was the founder, but he was more than that. He had tremendous vision.
It all started for Bill France Sr. in the 1930s at the Daytona Beach Road Course. Humpy Wheeler knows the challenges racing faced in the early days.
He never had any money. None of these early promoters had any money.
In nearly 15 years at Daytona, France saw drivers become victims over and over again of greedy promoters who made big promises, then took off with all the money. Tom Higgins covered NASCAR for the Charlotte Observer for 35 years. He says that inspired Big Bill to make a big change.
He just got all these promoters, mainly from around the South, and they gathered at the Streamline Motel in Daytona, organized and agreed on a set of rules, and he was a forceful enough figure that they all pitched in with him.
After those talks on February 21st, 1948, NASCAR was born. France held his first NASCAR strictly stock race at the Charlotte Speedway more than a year later, in June 1949. That track is long gone. A marker still stands in its place on Little Rock Road. It was 200 laps around the three-quarter-mile track. The winner took home $5,000. From there, France's empire exploded.
They saw they had something good going, and it built from there.
Just 7 years later, France started building the Daytona International Super Speedway, home of the world's greatest race, one of the most popular sporting events in the world, the Daytona 500. Many agree it's one of his greatest contributions to the sport.
He had the vision that one day the sport could be a professional sport just like Major League Baseball, football, and that's saying something.
In the 60s, he built the Talladega Super Speedway. Both striking feats, but Wheeler says it was the way France managed so many competing interests that turned NASCAR into what it is today.
He set the line in the sand and you didn't cross it. And that's what racing needs. It'd be just total chaos if you did.
But more importantly, he understood the fans.
He knew what those race fans wanted. He knew the kind of show they wanted. And that's what formed the basis of the sport that we have today. He'd done it without Bill France Sr.
And as you might imagine, this is not Bill France Sr.'s first honor. He was also inducted into the inaugural class of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. That happened in 1990.
And the Daytona Beach Stock Car Racing Hall of Fame, that was back in 1992. Meantime, for all the folks you see in here, and there have been thousands inside here today, there are a lot of fans outside. There's a lot going on out there. Larry Sprinkle is with them. Larry?
Oh, yeah. You know, they're fans of all ages, and this is Leah. She's having a good time. Is that good? Back with more of all what's going on outside coming up next. The fun is everywhere, inside and outdoors. Thousands of people outside. Fans from all over have come here today to enjoy the Hall of Fame opening. We have two big NASCAR fans here. What's your name?
My name is Benita.
Benita and
Tom.
And Tom, where are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts, but we live in Charlotte now.
You like you from Massachusetts, love Charlotte now. Are you liking what you've seen inside?
Oh, I love it. I think it's first class.
First class. What's your favorite part of the Hall of Fame?
I like the memorabilia up on the fourth floor. All the old cameras and all the old timing devices and
cameras. Right, you're taking a lot of pictures today, right?
Oh yeah.
Seen any drivers today?
Yeah, we have. We saw Michael Waltrip, and who else did we see?
Hey, they're all kinds here today. Thank you very much. They're from Massachusetts, living in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. We have the tallest NASCAR fan up here. And your name is?
My name is EZ. Nice to meet you, Mr. Springle.
It's good to meet you. How's the weather up there, by the way?
Oh, like this guy needs to ask me that. But since it is, it's cool because she's over here.
Oh, yeah, there you go. A little juggling right here. We got the juggler. Oh, yeah, look over there. We got another tall NASCAR fan. The fun is outside. It's inside. We're going to be talking to all kinds of people here today. But, you know, we heard about the clouds out there from the tallest NASCAR fan. Let's get the latest on your first one forecast. Here's Brad Panovich.
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, those clouds are actually starting to give way a little bit out there after the rain and clouds this morning.
But now we want to throw it back to Dave and Sonia at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Uptown.
All right, Bobby, thank you. You know, Dave, I'm sure there were some people holding their breath this morning, wanting to make sure that that rain would hold off so that they could open the doors in the ceremonial way that they wanted to, and that worked. Trust me, though, even the threat of rain certainly didn't dampen any excitement down here today. I want you to take a look at some of the crowds who were here, and we hear from our morning crew that there were people here as early as 6 a.m. Thousands packed together, all ready for the anticipation of the opening, but they really also came to see and hear what this means to some of the sport's biggest stars.
To see them finally have a Hall of Fame and then to be inducted into it on top of that. Of all the thousands and thousands of people it took to get NASCAR where it is today, we just went along for the ride.
There he is, the king. Richard Petty, one of 5 NASCAR legends who will be inducted into the inaugural Hall class. That will happen a little bit later this month. And take a look at the entrance that he made this morning. He and fellow inductee Junior Johnson arrived at the Hall today in a way that you would only expect them to arrive, of course, in a race car.
Yeah, you know, as important as this is to the drivers, and there's a lot of the drivers' memorabilia here, it may be even more important to the fans, and Beth Shane is standing by outside right now with some of those NASCAR supporters. Beth?
Well, Dave, I'm actually seeing a lot of the same faces out here enjoying the music that we saw during the opening ceremony at 9 a.m. this morning. I'll tell you, you could spend all day in there, days probably, and some of the most serious fans probably want to. There were moments inside the hall today when it was tough to remember which one the fans were. Yeah! For a second there.
I worked really hard, fast as I could go, did the best I can do.
Really felt like pit row.
Thanks a lot, guys.
NASCAR has said all along that the goal of this place is to give its fans a chance to really immerse themselves in the legends of the sport, accessible to new fans.
You like the book?
And old timers too.
I remember him racing years ago, out there, when racing was racing.
Much of the hall is interactive. There are simulations of pit stops, inspections, and driving too. Even more is a trip down NASCAR's storied memory lane. We were surprised by some of the fans' reactions to what they saw.
Emotional.
Why do you say that?
Just watching the movie, it's cool.
A lot of the people we talked with tell us it wasn't just about what they'd find here today. The building is now part of NASCAR's story, and as fans, they wanted to take part.
This is history in the making right now, so we have to be in the middle of history.
We did actually meet some folks today who plan to return. You can actually buy a ticket in there that lets you come back over the years, and there are some folks that have opted to do that because a single-day ticket is kind of pricey at $19.95 for an adult. I'm live on the plaza. Beth Shane, back to you.
All right, Beth, you know, the NASCAR Hall of Fame is a huge success here. It took years of planning, building, execution, but not everything is perfect here. As News Channel 36 reporter Tony Burbeck tells us, fans say something went wrong. It's new at 5.
Yeah, you know, most folks out here, and we did talk to quite a few of them, well, they love everything about this. Obviously, the wet weather today was probably the biggest negative. There are also some folks out here that really didn't like the idea of the grand opening, which is going on out here, actually happening on a Tuesday, because they would have preferred it to happen on the weekend so they didn't have to miss work. But then again, the weekend, well, that is when drivers earn their living and, of course, earn their way into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
We didn't mean to rain on people's parade.
He sprung that on me.
But it did rain at Tuesday's NASCAR Hall of Fame grand opening. And as I worked the crowd, that was fans' biggest complaint. Bill Wilcox and his buddies from Mooresville waited in line for drivers' autographs and didn't like being told to leave when it rained.
And it was like, all right, y'all got to move. And then they come over there and they said, y'all got to get out of here. Well, we're in line, but, well, no, you can't stand here. They should have moved the autograph session. Some of the events should have been moved maybe in the deck parking.
Parking and traffic? Fans say no problem.
It's all pretty good.
Christine Erdman's $250 yearly membership, she says picking it up at the ticket window was a 45-minute wait.
They couldn't find them when we got here. Waited through 3 different lines. One line sent us here, the other one sent us there. You know how that goes.
But once we got inside, you couldn't find a bad word about the exhibits.
They capture it to a T. If you're a history buff, you have to come here.
As far as anything too weird or uncomfortable Tuesday?
Go to a race and you'll see that.
And police say as far as big events go, this one was handled just perfectly, no major problems. Also checked with the folks who run the parking lots around here. They said it went surprisingly well as well. We are live outside the NASCAR Hall of Fame with the mobile newsroom. Tony Burback, News Channel 36.
Let's go outside now and check in with Larry Sprinkle. He's had a chance to meet some of these fans who are so very excited. Larry?
Oh, yeah, it is. We got the band. First of all, it is very, very loud out here. Here's the lug nut. Everybody loves lug nut from the Speedway. And over here is a big NASCAR fan. Your name is?
Leo Adams.
Are you having a good time?
Yes.
What do you like most about the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Oh, it's lovely. The interactive. It's really cool. I have 2 boys, and they're vehicle kings. They love anything with motors.
Anything with motors, right?
Yes, they love it.
You know, that interactive part is pretty amazing. Did you have a chance to change a tire or anything like that?
No, I try to keep doing that in real life, so I don't see paying $20 to do it.
Are your sons still in there?
No, actually, they're over there.
Enjoying the music?
Yeah, and yo-yos. They're doing the yo-yo thing.
The yo-yos?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not a yo-yo person.
It's all going on out here. Outdoors, we got the music, we got the fans, and we've got a good time. I'll be back with some more interesting folks coming up in a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Another man who's going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame later this month is Robert Glenn Johnson. You know him as Junior, though, don't you?
Everybody knows him. We heard from him a little bit this morning during the opening ceremony. He is one of NASCAR's earliest superstars, named one of NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers, and our Jeff Campbell had a chance to talk with him. He's from right here in North Carolina.
Junior Johnson roars down the pit road at 90 miles an hour.
Junior Johnson is a pioneer in NASCAR.
He could do magical things with a car.
Aggressive, fast, competitive. Junior knock you down and do just about anything to win.
Junior's lived an incredible life.
Tom Higgins wrote the book on Junior literally. It's called Brave in Life. The book traces Junior's early days, the son of moonshiners he learned to drive by racing the cops, and nobody was better at it than Junior.
I've heard him say many times that he has driven far faster on a highway than he ever did on a racetrack, including Daytona.
Here's where I'm a car owner.
Junior's a lifer in Carolina racing country. Always up at sunrise on his family farm in Wilkes County. He cooks every day for friends, and recently he cooked for us.
So what's good? All of it?
The 78-year-old legend shared some racing stories and told us he's thrilled to be in NASCAR's first Hall of Fame class.
This is, I think, the best thing that's ever happened.
Inside the hall, Junior will have his own exhibit showcasing his 50 wins as a driver and 6 titles as an owner. A number of his cars will be on display, and so will this.
I got my own now, don't have to have that.
A moonshining exhibit, a tribute to his early days. Junior helped to build it himself. He's been very hands-on with the museum, and he promises, racing fan or not, you're going to like it.
It's a big thing, and you're going to be shocked when you see it all. is really exciting for the sport and for NASCAR and North Carolina.
With Junior Johnson in Wilkes County, Jeff Campbell, News Channel 36.
You know, I should tell you that Sonia was spending an excessive amount of time with Junior Johnson's moonshine still up there until she discovered there's actually no moonshine in it at all.
I was reading the recipe for the moonshine.
Yeah,
I was
writing
really
it down.
interested in that.
Yeah, right.
I did not write it down, but it was really interesting to just learn about that part of the history.
It's a fascinating part of NASCAR history,
Certainly
the Junior Johnson history. Yeah. You know, for all the fans that are inside the NASCAR Hall of Fame here, there are thousands more outside taking it all in. There's a lot to see, and there's a big concert tonight as well. Larry is out there with them right now.
We got some great music out here and a lot of great people. This is Sue Johnson from Harmony, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Up in Iredell County?
Yes, sir.
You having a good time?
Wonderful time.
What's your favorite part of the Hall of Fame?
The old cars and learning more about the old drivers and the new drivers.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you, Sue Johnson. Over here, we got some beautiful little girls and a little boy. What's your name?
Sydney.
All right, and your name is?
Constance.
And what's your brother's name?
Ellen Gray.
All right, aren't they beautiful, cute kids? Hey, look over here. Just Joey, world famous yo-yo. Hey, you got a story with a yo-yo right there.
Come down to the south. You know where we're located, right?
Yep, all right.
And if you come down here, you know what you can find.
What?
All the stars that come out at the NASCAR Grand Hall of Fame right here, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Unbelievable. That's Mr. Joey, the world famous Just Joey. Well, we got music out here. We got the cutest kids having a great time. So back to you guys. Think I'm going to enjoy the music with my new friend right here.
All right, Larry, you keep having a good time. Well, one of NASCAR's most famous and certainly most colorful personalities is known simply as the King. We are, of course, talking about the pride of Level Cross, North Carolina, Richard Petty. And he was certainly here this morning. We saw him at the induction ceremony, or we should say at the grand opening ceremony. He will be enshrined with NASCAR's inaugural class in the Hall of Fame a little bit later this month. News Channel 36 reporter, sports reporter Ira Cronin takes a look at Richard Petty.
Richard Petty is the kind of man who knows how to make an impression on anyone he comes in contact with.
Richard's an awesome guy.
Classiest guy that ever drove a race car.
His image and brand carry such power, you don't even need to say his name to know when someone is talking about the King.
I remember when I was a little kid, I had STP stickers. And that was the funnest thing, is the STP stickers.
He was an incredibly good driver, perhaps the best of his time, maybe the best of all time.
And immediately the cars start to pit. Here's Petty's car in the pit area. For some reason or other, Petty is up on top of his car. And Petty is definitely worried about the top. He's got a hammer, is hammering it away.
You know, dirt tracks, short tracks, super speedway, didn't make any difference. Everything just clicked. There's not a whole lot you can do. You don't ask questions. You just go get ready for the next race, hoping the luck stays with you.
When they were in a position to win races, they won races. And I think that's the big deal that allowed them to dominate through the 60s and into the 70s. He was just incredibly focused on one thing, and that was winning races.
While he has won a record 7 season championships, ask anyone connected with the sport, and those accomplishments are not the first thing to come to mind.
He's a genuinely nice person to everybody, and he's one of those guys that I got a lot of admiration for.
There is a Richard Petty driving school. There ought to be a Richard Petty charm school for all these drivers, that he could tell them how to, show them how to treat fans. I've seen him many times sit on the pit wall till dark after a race, signing autographs. He wouldn't quit until there were no more fans asking him to sign an autograph. He said they were the people paying his salary, and that if it wasn't for the fans, there wouldn't be any racing.
He never forgot where he was from. He never forgot the fans and how important they were to his success, and that they really are what put him where he was. So that really made Richard Petty special.
So while many a fan owns his autograph, Tony Stewart is the proud owner of something else.
I got a hat out of him. I traded him a helmet for a hat, so I feel like that I probably got the better end of the deal.
Man up means by no means king of the road.
Wow, one What a man, huh? I just love his accessibility. Isn't that wonderful?
I do. You know, Ed, and he was on our midday show today with Bobby, and he said, the fans made me who I am.
Absolutely.
They made Richard Petty. I have to make time for them. So
you don't see his eyes very often, but you see his heart every day, don't you?
That's right. That's a good way to put it. I love that. The Richard Petty Charm School. You think he'll open that anytime soon?
He's a charming guy, isn't he? Yeah, the hat and all. And welcome back to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. You're looking live outside the Hall in Uptown, where Love and Theft will play a free concert in a little more than an hour from now. You know, you can't talk NASCAR without talking about the Intimidator. Dale Earnhardt will forever be remembered as an inaugural member of this class here at the Hall of Fame. And sports director Greg Bailey joins me now. And this guy was just bigger than the sport, wasn't he?
Well, he was bigger than life, bigger than the sport. Really, his name kind of leads me to a comparison today, Dave. I think the Baseball Hall of Fame, for comparison, about numbers and statistics. Right. NASCAR Hall of Fame, you can feel it today. It's about passion. It's about emotion. And no one in NASCAR history stirred those emotions quite like the headliner of the first class of inductees here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, Dale Earnhardt.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration.
The sport's largest icon.
To win the Daytona 500.
76 career wins. 7 Cup championships. The Intimidator. You've heard it so many times, it's hard to find the perspective. Just how good Dale Earnhardt was right from the start.
The thing about him that struck everyone was just absolute courage.
When talking about Dale, longtime racing writer Tom Higgins likes to quote another driving great, Cale Yarborough.
Cale said, "You couldn't castrate Dale Earnhardt with a chainsaw."
That probably summed it up on the track, but it was Earnhardt's small-town, working-class roots that helped so many fans relate.
The backbone of racing is middle America. When we lost him, we lost the working man's driver, and we haven't gotten one back.
And his death changed the sport.
It took his death for us to realize, I think, just how big this sport was.
3 wide behind them.
February 18th, 2001, final lap, Daytona 500. The 3-car clipped by Sterling Marlin's front bumper, sending Earnhardt head first into the wall.
Earnhardt will always be right there with me, always.
That very night, fans gathered outside RCR and DEI headquarters to mourn. His funeral telecast on several television networks. Earnhardt wasn't the first driver, of course, to die on the racetrack, but his death was an immediate catalyst for change. Changes like the 6-point safety harness for drivers, softer walls on the racetrack, the list goes on with the car of tomorrow.
All those safety initiatives came after Dale Earnhardt passed, and I think that, becomes his legacy.
Ironically, Fox Sports writer Lee Spencer claims that had he lived, Earnhardt would have thought that those expensive safety enhancements might have been a waste. Earnhardt took another, more subtle thrill of racing with him when he died.
When he came into the garage, he walked with an air about him that was somewhere between John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. I mean, he was the last of the cowboys. He was the last of the NASCAR cowboys.
If he were alive today, even after all those wins and the 7 Cup championships, Dale likely wouldn't have had too much to say about his latest honor.
It meant a lot to him, but he wouldn't have acted like it. He was a very, very humble person as far as that's concerned.
A driver and a champion like no other.
It's one of America's great success stories, and it's too bad that we lost him.
Adored by his fans and respected by his peers, I think that as much as anything meant a great deal to Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, you wonder what Dale Earnhardt would think of this place here. Not necessarily the focus on him, but the place itself, which is such a shrine to the industry.
Well, obviously the Earnhardt family roots in this sport go back so deeply. Ralph Earnhardt, a name that everybody knows. I think that would mean a great deal to him, that the Earnhardt family is remembered here. The personal part, he'd shrug it off. Yeah. He just would. He'd shrug the whole deal off in public, in private. It would mean a great deal to him.
Back, everyone, to the NASCAR Hall of Fame on this first day. Plenty of excitement around here. Fans still walking through. There's another band, Love and Theft, that will start at 7 o'clock on the main stage. We've had drivers take the main stage and do Q&A. There's been plenty going on, lots to do and see down here. And Bobby, I understand that you had a chance to speak with somebody who knows NASCAR history almost better than anyone in this area.
You know what? It's safe to say he does, Sonia. The NASCAR Hall of Fame is all about the sports history. No one knows it better than Tom Higgins. He covered the sport from 1958 until 1997, 34 years of that time for our news partners at the Charlotte Observer. Higgins was a voting member of the Hall of Fame first class. He has quite a story himself when it comes to NASCAR history.
This is Rich. You're getting my advice.
Tom Higgins loves to tell a story.
There were no million-dollar motor homes or whatever then. They all stayed at motels. He could do magical things with a car. And they were passing a fifth of Jim Beam back and forth, drinking it right out of the bottle.
As he thumbs through pictures, it's hard not to stop and listen.
A lot more colorful, it seems to me, back in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Back then, racing was all about the color and maybe a bit of the off-color. One column came from this conversation with Junior Johnson at Darlington.
Who are going to be the next 2 or 3 great young drivers? And Junior said, why, there ain't no doubt about it. Ralph Earnhardt's boy, that mouthy little old boy from over in Tennessee. Well, what's going to make Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip the 2 next great drivers? And he says, they've got that one great quality you have to be a great driver. And I said, which is? And he said, they're both.
When Higgins wrote, especially in the early days, there wasn't the luxury of a nice media center.
The press box was, I called it a chicken coop on stilts.
But he always seemed to get the story.
It's an old mountain saying, I never threw anyone in the creek just to get a bombshell story. There were other ways of doing it. And that's the way I preferred to work.
He was there for some of the sport's hardest moments, the death of Tiny Lund at Talladega.
And I'd fished with Tiny Lund. We were very close friends.
J.D. McDuffie killed at Watkins Glen, and the death of his friend, Dale Earnhardt.
And that was very, very difficult.
From the hard stories to the ones he enjoyed.
Seeing Buddy Baker win a race for the first time after trying so hard to follow his father Buck. Seeing Earnhardt win the championship in 1980.
And Higgins earned his own awards.
Oh, I'm very grateful. I'm very proud of it.
He won the NASCAR Lifetime Achievement Award in 1996. But for him, it's not about the accolades, instead the tales he got to tell. The ones he loved to write and now loves to talk about. This one about Bill France Sr. delivering the invocation himself at Daytona.
He implored the Lord for everything on earth you can think of. And finally, he quit praying, and there was just silence for seconds and seconds and seconds. Well, finally, people started giggling and, you know, what you waiting on? And finally he said, sincerely, Bill France. Well, he came to his suite and said to his wife, said, damn it, Annie, what's that word you end the prayer with? And she said, amen, Bill, amen.
Because with NASCAR's history, it's all about the stories.
I could tell them all day, I guess.
A fun day and an important day for the city of Charlotte. It's not over yet. There's still music going on outside the NASCAR Hall of Fame here.
That's right. Yeah. Love and Theft with our homeboy, we can say Eric Gunderson from Charlotte. He's part of the band. They'll be performing at 7 o'clock. So if you're thinking, hey, I want something to do tonight, you have until 8 o'clock to get down here, buy a ticket. And you know what? About an hour, you can see a good part of it. Maybe not all of it.
A lot of good stuff in an hour.
You could spend a day in here, really, if you wanted. Yeah? All right.
Let's go back to the studio now, check in with Bobby, find out what's coming up tonight.
Well, great job out there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here for the news at 6 o'clock. Be sure to tune in for News Channel 36 at 11. The nightly news is next.